Salutations, dear people! Welcome to a video review of the Peninsular Campaign for Napoleon Total War. I'm Seth Kiparis, the cynical Croat, and I'll be your guide for this video presentation. You and I both know the question, let's get to the answer. The Peninsular Campaign is a DLC campaign released for Napoleon Total War, and it gives you a more detailed map of the Iberian Peninsula. You can choose between 3 factions, or if you play multiplayer campaign. You can choose to play as Great Britain, Spain, France and Portugal in multiplayer. The campaign lasts from early April 1811 to late December 1815. You cannot set the victory conditions, they are already preset. France has to conquer 30 territories with some key ones, while the other factions have to ensure that France has less than 5 territories and capture the Midi-Pyrenees. You can set the campaign difficulty, the battle difficulty, and the battle timer, with a range between 20 to 60 minutes or unlimited. After that, you're ready to roll. Each of the factions has a different starting situation, with advantages and disadvantages. France starts with most of Spain under its control, but their forces are spread thin and have public order problems. The religion element has been replaced with pro-French or anti-French sentiment. Depending on the capital's political disposition, holding regions might be problematic. France will use provocateurs to convert the population to their side, while the other factions will also use priests alongside provocateurs. The technology tree for France will grant public order bonuses and an anti-guerrilla unit. Spain starts with 2 regions, 2 medium-sized armies and 2 small guerrilla armies in the north. Since the French forces are spread thin, they can strike quickly and efficiently in nearby regions. Their technology tree will focus on boosting anti-French propaganda and improving their guerrilla units in terms of experience and lower upkeep costs. Great Britain starts with Gibraltar and 1 large army led by Duke Wellington, located north from Portugal. They can easily establish a foothold by conquering a nearby French region and start from there. Unlike the other factions which recruit their units from military buildings, the British must build a supply port in order to bring their own and best units. Military buildings will grant them access to local auxiliaries like Portuguese line infantry, cavalry and artillery, which, while they perform their roles well, are inferior compared to their British counterparts. The British research tree focuses on anti-French propaganda and improvements for guerrilla units and auxiliary units, such as lower upkeep, quicker replenishment, and more experience. When the British conquer a French region, they can choose to occupy it or liberate it. If they liberate it, the region is given to Spain and 3 to 4 guerrilla units appear near the capital to assist your army. Portugal starts with 3 regions and it's in a bad starting position. It is well defended, but it can't strike quickly because its armies are not close enough to conduct the necessary attack. I'm not sure about the technology tree, since I played the multiplayer campaign several months ago, but I would assume it is focused on anti-French propaganda and military improvements. For agents you have priests, spies, provocateurs and guerrilleros. Priests convert the populace to be more anti-French. Provocateurs convert the population to either be anti or pro-French, depends on the faction that is using them. And guerrilleros serve the same purpose as spies. They spy, harass armies, sabotage buildings, and assassinate agents and generals. France cannot conduct diplomacy at all, and the other factions cannot negotiate peace with France. This is to ensure historical accuracy of the campaign. Let's move on to the factions. Spain has subpar line infantry with average light infantry, and elite infantry that perform their role just fine. Their artillery only consists of cannons and they have a decent cavalry selection. However, their ace in the hole are guerrilla units. These units can deploy outside the deployment zone, but not too close to the zone of the enemy general, indicated by a white line. These units are good for setting ambushes or holding key positions before the regulars arrive to assist. It expands the gameplay without breaking it, because guerrilla units aren't professional soldiers, and in normal combat they will lose. However, it is possible to win battles with them if you use them cleverly. In the campaign, you can have a maximum of 3 units of the same type, while in multiplayer battles it is set to 1 unit of the same type. Portugal probably has the most lackluster army in the whole game. They don't have elite infantry, they have the same artillery as Spain, and they have only one cavalry unit with below average quality. No offense to the Portuguese that are watching this review, I'm just stating it as it is. However, that doesn't mean that they are weak, only that they lack tactical options. You can still win battles if you know how to best utilize their units. Their line infantry is better than their Spanish counterparts in reloading and accuracy, and their cazadores are resistant to morale shock, something that is unusual for light infantry. I haven't explained the multiplayer campaign in my Napoleon Total War review, so I'll do it here. You can play a campaign with your friend, with each player conducting diplomacy, training units and constructing buildings. The Italian and Egyptian campaign can only be played against each other, while in the Grand and Peninsular Campaign it is possible to play cooperatively. You can set the turn timer and whether or not battles with the AI will be auto-resolved or not. If not, your fellow player will lead the enemy army against you, providing some interesting experience for both of you. Other than that, you play it as a normal campaign. You can save and continue later, which will usually happen since a Total War campaign is known to last fairly long. While this DLC campaign doesn't offer drastic differences in gameplay like the Kingdom's expansion pack for Medieval 2 Total War, it changes things enough to make it interesting. The starting situations for each faction will ensure that no matter what, you will have a challenging gaming experience. With the price tag of €8, I'm giving this DLC a 7 out of 10. If you truly wish to have this campaign, I would suggest you to buy Empire and Napoleon Total War Collection, Game of the Year, as it contains 2 games, with all DLCs for Empire and half the DLCs for Napoleon. This has been Seth Kiparis, the Cynical Crot. Thank you for watching and have a pleasant day.